Hello, Giants fans. So we have the Giants at Buccaneers Week 3 matchup. The Giants come in at 0-2. Buccaneers coming off a Thursday night win to make them 1-1. I believe that's pretty much it for that. So let's get into this video, and let's start with the injury notes. Alright, so this is the practice report from Wednesday. Of course, things could change. I mean, today is Thursday when I'm doing this, but that's how ESPN had it. I don't think much has changed. The only thing that changed really is that I believe Benny Fowler was added to the injury report with a hamstring injury, so I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. That's really not going to be like a make or break thing, but the Giants receiving core is pretty thin, so it'd be nice to have him. So Cody Latimer has a concussion. I'm sure we all know that. Sterling Shepard sat out last week in the same situation, so we'll see what happens with him. No one knows with concussions. Kevin Zeitler has a shoulder injury, but there's no reports about him missing the game, so he should be okay. Grant Haley had an illness. He should be fine for Sunday. Sterling Shepard recently was just cleared, so he should be a go on Sunday. Garrett Dickerson, still not sure. Let me look real quick. Apparently he had a full practice, so that's good. He should probably play. And then Darius Slayton is limited with a hamstring injury, so I don't know, they might wait one more week for Darius Slayton to make his NFL debut. We'll see about that. As for the Buccaneers, they only got 3 guys on there. That's really noteworthy. Devin White, the 5th overall pick from this draft, who many Giants fans are familiar with. I was excited to watch him. We saw him get injured on the Thursday night game early in the game, so his knee injury is probably going to keep him out of this game. They have a outside linebacker, I believe, named Devontae Bond, who has a hamstring injury. He really doesn't play too much, probably a special teamer, so it really doesn't matter. And another one that doesn't really matter is Blaine Gabbert, the backup quarterback with a shoulder injury, but maybe in the event that Jameis goes down, they'll play their third-string quarterback instead. But really nothing too big for the Buccaneers outside of Devin White. And for the Giants, I mean, if Cody Latimer misses, that sucks, but I think everyone else should be in. I would expect Slayton and Latimer not to play, but I think everyone else should be in there. So the Giants seem to be alright with injuries this week. I forgot to mention Benny Fowler as well. I'm not really sure if he'll play or not. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes either way. So on to the notes for this game. We start with the Buccaneers this time. So they have 10 days of rest coming off this game. They played the last Thursday against Carolina. They won that game, of course, so them having extra rest and playing at home, not good for us. Jameis Winston had a pretty good week 2. Wasn't fantastic, but much better than week 1. He went 16 of 25, 208 yards, and a touchdown. No turnover, surprisingly, and if I had to bet against Jameis Winston, getting 2 straight games of no turnovers, I would definitely bet against it. So that's definitely good for the Giants defense. Peyton Barber, who performed very well against the Giants last year in Giants Stadium or MetLife, whatever you want to call it, had a great game, over 100 yards. Last week he went for 23 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Chris Godwin has been a very good player for them this year the first 2 weeks. I believe he's had 2 touchdowns already. He had 8 catches, 121 yards last week. And Mike Evans and O.J. Howard have really yet to get going. I mean, Mike Evans has been all right. O.J. Howard was not targeted at all on Thursday night, so that's very rare and weird to see that. I believe O.J. Howard had a really good game against the Giants 2 years ago, I believe it was. Him and Cameron Braid, I think, had really big games in the 2017 game. So, look, if there's a game for O.J. Howard to break out, it's probably this one because the Giants have a lot of issues covering tight ends. The Bucs offensive line looked really good in week 2. I'm not sure how it is overall. I mean, it's kind of like a middle of the road type of offensive line. I don't think it's anything great, but at least when I watched their whole game in week 2, they looked pretty good. Don't know if it says a lot about their offensive line or the Panthers pass rush, but still it was pretty good. And the Giants barely have a pass rush as it is anyway. The Bucs defense has been impressive through 2 weeks. I mean, of course, I was about to say Garrett Bowles. Todd Bowles is now the defensive coordinator along with Bruce Arians. They used to coach together in Arizona, and he's done a great job, Todd Bowles, with their defense. And I mean, they look really good. They have some good players on this defense. You can't underestimate them. I mean, coming into the season, a lot of people were not really expecting much from this Tampa defense, but they're actually not that bad. And they don't even have Jason Pierre-Paul, who's out with a neck injury, so that's another great player they have out. Well, I shouldn't say great, but a good player they have out. So I mean, it's not good for them obviously, but their front 7 is really good. They have Shaquille Barrett, who's already got 4 sacks on the season. Of course, had 3 on last Thursday night. Let me go look at their depth chart real quick. I mean, they have a bunch of guys on this team that's pretty good up front. So, of course, Ndamukong Suh, we all know him, still a really good player. Vita Vea, now he was a first-round pick 2 years ago. Carl Nassib's a good player. Devin White, he's going to miss this game, obviously, but they have Deon Buchanan, who the Giants seemed interested in the offseason, a former Arizona player, so he'll be probably filling in for Devin White. Levante David is still amazing. Shaquille Barrett, as I mentioned before. Their secondary, nothing really pops out except for Vernon Hargreaves, so, I mean, that's the one guy you really got to worry about. So where are we at now? So the secondary, as I said, is not too scary, and the Bucs do have a rookie kicker who went 3 for 4 so far this season, so of course that can impact something later in the game. But, the Buccaneers are not that scary of an opponent, obviously. I mean, I would still say they're a bottom-half team in the NFL. They are better than the Giants right now, roster-wise, but, it's definitely a winnable game from the Giants' standpoint. All right, so on to the Giants notes. Of course, it's the Daniel Jones debut. I don't know why I said debut, because it's not his debut technically. He did have the Dallas game where he got like one or two drives, but it's his first NFL start, as we all know. So how does the offense look? I think it'll look a little bit better, honestly. I think they'll do a better job moving the ball. I'm not sure how they'll perform in the red zone, but I think Daniel Jones, with his intermediate route passing, which looked really good in the preseason, and the way he can place the ball on his receivers, and obviously, if you watch Daniel Jones, his ball placement is probably better than Eli Manning at this point in his career, and Daniel Jones brings another aspect to this offense where he's able to, sometimes like on a zone read can like take a keeper and run to the outside. So he adds another aspect to this team with his legs as well. He's not the fastest quarterback, but still he has that in his arsenal. It's a test for the O-line. I mean, as I said, the Buccaneers have a pretty scary front seven, as I mentioned before. They faced some really good front sevens the first 2 weeks, but this is another test. You really can't underestimate Tampa's front seven. Which receivers are healthy? I talked about Benny Fowler being out. Talked about who else is out? Cody Latimer could be out in this game, and then you have guys remaining. I mean, Sterling Shepard's going to play in this game, which is an upgrade for us, obviously. But you still have Russell Shepard, you still have TJ Jones, still have Cody Core. So they have some guys that can catch the ball on this team. Not great ones, but Sterling Shepard is back, which is a big help. Can the defense stop the Tampa Bay weapons? I mean, that's really the biggest question of this game. I think the Giants offense will be able to put up some points on this Tampa secondary, but can the Giants stop them? That's the big question. I mean, Mike Evans, hard to stop him. The Giants really don't shadow receivers too much with Janoris Jenkins, and Jenkins has not really had a good year anyway so far. But we could see a situation where Mike Evans is on DeAndre Baker a lot, which would not be good for us based on how Baker has played the first 2 games. And this is not me calling DeAndre Baker a bust, because some people want to do that already after 2 games. So I'm not doing that with a rookie. There's no way. Chris Godwin in the slot. Grant Haley's going to have a pretty tough time with him, who's had a great season so far. Can our linebackers guard O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate? I doubt it. It's a very tall task for them, so we'll see. The Giants back-to-back tough losses against Tampa Bay. Talked about 2017's game where the tight ends went off against us. They won by 3 in that game. I think it was a game-winning field goal, and the Giants went like 0-4 after that during the terrible McAdoo year. And then last year at the end of the season, the Giants won that game, so I don't know why I said back-to-back losses. I'm pretty sure the Giants won that game now that I'm thinking about it. So that graphic is wrong. I'm fake news, apparently. So they did win that game, I think, 38-35. It was a crazy game, a lot of offense, but the Giants did win that game. I remember Fitzpatrick started, Jameis came in, but I think the Giants won that game, so disregard that. Does the secondary get any better? Honestly, I really don't know. I mean, this secondary, if you watch my breakdown videos where we watch the coaches film and go over everything, there are so many breakdowns in this secondary, and you can do stuff like that against Jameis Winston. He's not the best quarterback, but against these weapons they have, like Mike Evans and Godwin and O.J. Howard, who's a big play threat at tight end, you're not going to get away with too much in this situation. So they have to make sure, as Aaron Boone says, tighten that up in the secondary. DeAndre Baker improvement, maybe. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with him. I mean, I think it's weird because, DeAndre Baker in college was known as a great man defense player, but the Giants don't have him in man defense too much. There's a lot of, when I watch DeAndre Baker and where he struggles in the breakdown videos, a lot of it's on zone defense. So I don't know what, they can't obviously play man every game just to accommodate DeAndre Baker, but he is better in man coverage, or at least he should be based off what we saw in college. So he needs to be in the right spots on defense. It's really just about it. They need Antoine Bethea, to play well in this game. As I said, the Buccaneers can make big plays up and down the field. They need their free safety to, be in the right spots this game and make big plays. Maybe he gets an interception this game. If there's a game to do it, it's probably this one. So we need him to play well and not look like his age. He has not looked good so far this year, honestly, so I'm sure most of us agree with that. Do the Giants get a pass rush going? It's possible. I mean, the Buccaneers offensive line, as I said, is pretty average. I would say a little below average in most cases, but, the Giants have a very below average pass rush, so we'll see what happens there. Marcus Golden looked good last game. He looked healthy, so we'll see what he can do. Maybe our rookie O'Shane Ximines gets in there. We need some pressure from the interior, from Dexter Lawrence, and I think Dexter Lawrence only played like half the snaps last week. Can we please play him a little bit more? I don't know the number on top of my head, but he really did not play as much as you'd want a first-round pick to play. If you invested a 17th overall pick on the guy, can we play him more than half the snaps, please? This is why me and some other people called him Snacks Harrison 2.0. Don't let us think like that. If you want us to think otherwise, play him on the third down situations and see if he can, get to the quarterback on third downs. So force Jameis into mistakes. That's obviously, we know that. Jameis Winston, very turnover-prone quarterback. I think he has more interceptions than games played in his career so far, so that's a telling stat right there. So that's what they need to do. It's tough when you don't have much of a pass rush to make a quarterback uneasy if he has time in the pocket all day. And Jameis Winston, just like Josh Allen and kind of Dak Prescott, he's more like Dak Prescott. Josh Allen's on a whole different level in this, but when it comes to eluding pass rushers, he's very good at it. Jameis Winston can duck underneath and make nice moves to make defenders miss. So just as I said with Josh Allen, just because you get in the backfield does not mean it's a guaranteed sack. So the Giants have to do a good job of wrapping him up because he is pretty elusive for a guy of his size. So, that's about it for these notes. Should I give my game prediction right now? I guess I might as well because I do have some questions to answer after this. So thank you guys if you ask questions. All right, so here's how it's going to go. I could see the Giants winning this game. I think the Giants are going to be very motivated, and there's going to be a lot of solid energy with this team because of Daniel Jones starting, and I think, with the fans being excited and everything like that, I think this team will have some positive vibes around them for the first time in a while. And look, I could see the Giants winning this game. I'm not saying they don't have a chance, but if I had to bet my life on it and be honest with you guys, because as I say, I always care more about accuracy than just, being a Giants homer, I would say the Buccaneers win a very tight game. And I don't want to say that. If the game was at home, I'd probably give it to the Giants, but this being at Tampa Bay, I'd probably give it to the Buccaneers by a few points. I hope I'm wrong, but that's pretty much where I'm going to go with this prediction. So give me the Bucs by 3 points, 4 points, something like that. But hey, maybe Daniel Jones plays out of his mind and much better than I expect or than we expect, and he wins this game comfortably. So we'll see. So since I know it's going to be asked in the comments section, what do you think Daniel Jones' performance will be like? I just made this graphic for you guys. I think he goes 21 for 31, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I hope he exceeds that, but I still think that's a pretty good game for an NFL debut. So I'd be good with that. Let me know what you guys think his first performance will look like stat-wise. Just do the same layout, his completions, his yards, touchdowns, possible interceptions, maybe fumbles. I didn't even put fumbles in here, but hopefully he hangs on to the ball this game. So that's basically what I think he'll do in his first NFL start. So there's a decent amount of questions to go to. In the future, I'm probably going to stick to 5 or 6 questions for every preview episode because I don't want to be doing 20 minutes of questions. I think there's 16 for this one, so since it's the first one, I'm just going to try and answer all of them pretty quickly. So do you think Sherman will start out pass heavy and get Jones more reps, or play it safe and give it to Barkley? That's a good question. I think they'll stick to the same game plan. I think we're going to see a lot of difference with this offense because of, Eli Manning is not a good quarterback on the run, obviously, and we see Daniel Jones, who's probably better on the rollout play. So I think there's going to be a different aspect of this offense. I don't think Barkley's carries will go up and down necessarily, but I think the play calling, especially on pass plays, will be a little bit different. I think there's going to be some more play action and having our quarterback roll out more. And, if you watch Sherman in Minnesota, what he did with Case Keenum, I think it'll be a lot of that stuff. A lot of rollouts. There was a lot of play action there. If you go back and watch the 2017 Vikings team, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So I think in that perspective, it'll change. But in terms of Barkley and his workload, I think it'll stay about the same. Next, can anyone stop Mike Evans or slow him down at least? So, as I said earlier, I think if the Bucs are smart, and I do think Bruce Arians is pretty smart, they'll try to put Mike Evans on the same side as DeAndre Baker. I don't think they want him with Janoris Jenkins. I still think Mike Evans could win that matchup with Jenkins, but to have the biggest game possible, I think they'll try to get Mike Evans on DeAndre Baker's side of the field. The Giants really don't have, Janoris Jenkins shadow anybody anymore. They used to do it, before Betra got here, but really we didn't see it too much last year. So I think It depends what side of the field Mike Evans is on, obviously. I don't think they'll be able to slow him down too much. I mean, maybe they play Antoine Bethea over the top a little bit, but then you have to worry about Chris Godwin and the tight end weapons they have as well, so you really can't zero in on one guy. So I personally think it'll be a big game for Mike Evans in this one. Next one, why is our GM a idiot? So I'm going to try and answer this one quickly. I'm sure I'll do a future video once his time is up here to go much more in depth about it. But the thing I don't like about Gettleman, and the many things I don't like about him, he doesn't use analytics at all. I don't think analytics should drive your decisions completely, but it's a tool in the toolbox that's offered to you, and he just decides not to use it. He's not good with handling money. I mean, we have a lot of dead cap space with Odell Beckham. We're paying $23 million to a quarterback to hold a clipboard now. He's let good players walk out the door for nothing. You think about Romeo Okwara, Devon Kennard, and I don't really think he understands the positional value. I understand he fixed the offensive line, but when you take a running back second overall, I'll never agree with it, but we'll see how Daniel Jones turns out. So that's really the main thing. If Daniel Jones is the real deal, we'll all love Gettleman, and I'll have to say I'm sorry, but that's pretty much where I stand on him right now. Next we have, should the Giants sign Taco Charlton, the former first-round pick of the Cowboys that was just released? He just signed with the Dolphins, I heard. So, I mean, well, not just heard, but it was like 8 hours ago or something like that. So, obviously that can't happen now. That's funny. The Dolphins do play the Cowboys this week, so I wonder how much of that is like them wanting to keep him long-term, or like, if they want like an upper hand on the Cowboys. I don't know, but they'll probably try and use him as much as they can in Miami. They have nothing to lose at this point anyway. Trade for Ramsey. So Jalen Ramsey, who requested a trade, he played tonight in the game, played pretty well. He gave up like one big play, but outside of that, he was fine. Marcus Mariota's not that good anyway, but I think what's going to happen with Ramsey is he's going to go to a contender. I don't think the Giants are a team fit for Ramsey right now. I don't even know if they could afford him right now. I mean, I know he's on like the rookie contract, but the Giants can't afford to sign him to a big deal, at least until the offseason once Eli Manning's off the books. So I think what's going to happen with Ramsey is he'll go to a contender right now. I think he'll end up with the Chiefs or something like that. There's some sleeper teams, obviously, like maybe the Bills or something like that. Maybe him and Tre'Davious White would be an awesome duo. So we'll see. I don't know. I think he goes to a contender, though, that's competing for 2019. Do you think our defense will actually show up and DeAndre Baker will finally have a good game? Well, I mean, I did get into it a little bit before, but I mean, honestly, I don't think this is the spot for their defense to have like a breakthrough game. I think next week against Washington, I believe it is, that's the game where the defense could probably have a great game. They are at home. This is still a tough atmosphere. You're on the road against Tampa, who does have a somewhat high-powered offense, a lot of good weapons on this team, so I'm not counting on it this week, but we'll see. I mean, DeAndre Baker needs to do better in the zone defense, obviously, and I don't know if it's going to happen this week or not. It just really depends how the Giants coach him up. I think at this point it's like mental. I mean, it's not really a physical thing with him, but because we saw situations in like the Cowboy game where like he was beat a couple of times, but still he was with his guy. It was just perfect throws by Dak Prescott. But then last week it was just way too many mental errors. So we'll see if he can put it all together in week 3. It is possible, but I think this is a tough matchup for him. So I'm looking more forward to week 4 for that. Next we have, well, first off, I don't like the logo. I mean, Yankees kind of won the AL East tonight, just saying. But anyway, you guys did win a World Series last year, so I'll shut up. But anyway, on to the question. Do you think that Do you think that with Jones in, Shurmur will be more aggressive with the play calls, and will Shurmur actually feed Saquon this game? Because if Saquon isn't in the game, we probably aren't winning. All right, so I do think the play calling will change a little bit. As I said like 3 or 4 questions ago, whatever it was, I think we'll see more of what we saw in Minnesota with Case Keenum. I mean, Eli Manning is probably better than Case Keenum, but he's not really as mobile as Case Keenum was, and Daniel Jones is definitely closer to Case Keenum. He's probably better than Case Keenum, but he's still like on that same mobility level, so I think there will be a lot more rollouts and stuff like that. There's a lot more for Shurmur to work with in this game. They can do zone reads, RPOs, all that kind of crap, so I think that will help. And as I said with Saquon, I mean, obviously he should be getting like 80% of the running back carries. I hope that he gets like, 18 plus carries in this game, but we'll see. I mean, he can get anywhere from like 18 to 25 probably in this game. I think this will be a pretty close game throughout, so they should use him a lot, but we'll see. So I do think there is going to be different plays, more plays for Shurmur to call, and I do think Saquon will see a good amount of carries in this game. How will the Giants change up their defensive strategy to force Winston to commit turnovers? If they can't pick off Josh Allen, then I'm worried about the turnover differential this season. So yeah, it probably won't be a positive turnover differential for us, especially with a rookie quarterback now. But how do they do it? I mean, of course they need to get to Winston. They need to rattle him. I think in order to get Winston to make bad throws, you need guys in the backfield. We saw in week 1 against the Niners when they got in the backfield, especially on that terrible last interception he had. When you get in the backfield with Winston, he is more, just prone to making a bad throw, and it's definitely possible. And with the Josh Allen thing last week, the Giants were very, very close to an interception in that game. The ball unfortunately landed right between DeAndre Baker and Antoine Bethea, so they were close to an interception in that game. And as I said earlier, I mean, I think the chances that Jameis Winston goes turnover-free for 2 games in a row is just not likely. So I think the Giants will get at least 1 in this game, hopefully. But there needs to be some defensive pressure at least. So this one's a tough question because no one really knows the answer. There's no sure answer to this, but I'll give it my best guess. So what is next for Eli Manning? So I think barring an injury for Daniel Jones or him just playing absolutely terrible, I don't think he'll ever start again for the New York Giants. I think in the last home game, I think Eli Manning will get a drive and, get like a standing ovation walking off the field. But I think in terms of starting and playing like legitimate minutes for this team, I think it's over for him. But maybe next year, the only thing I could see possible is with all these teams like potentially tanking this year, Dolphins come to mind, obviously. There's going to be a team that might look for a bridge quarterback next year. And we saw this year how they brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick and then went to Josh Rosen this week. So maybe next year they bring in Eli Manning to play like a few games and then go to the rookie quarterback like Tua or Jake Fromm or Herbert, you know what I mean? But I don't think Eli wants that. I think Eli Manning is going to go to a situation that he feels he can play all 16 games in. I don't think Eli Manning wants to do this all over again next year. So I think what's going to end up happening is he'll probably retire. I don't think he'll retire right after the season's over, but he'll probably wait, see what happens in free agency. Maybe there's an off-season injury for a quarterback or something like that. But I think ultimately this will be his last year in the NFL. Next, from Ian Jones, who I do see support my channel a lot, so I appreciate that. Do you think the Giants offense do you think the Giants offense, probably led by Jones is probably what you meant, can beat this Bucs defense? I think it's possible, definitely. I think Daniel Jones might surprise us this game. I don't think it's an overwhelming situation. I figured his first start would be at home, but against, the Buccaneers on the road, they don't have the greatest defense. I think it's better than expected. It's still probably an average defense amongst the whole NFL, but it is better than expected. I think, there's going to be a lot of pressure thrown at him from Todd Bowles, so we'll see if he can handle it. I think Daniel Jones has done everything right in the preseason so far, but that's a lot different, obviously, so we'll see if he can do it in this game. I'm very excited for it. I hope he does well, but yeah, I do think he can beat this Bucs defense and put up at least, 20-something points in this game, and maybe even 30. Who knows? I think he'll have a good game, though. Next question is pretty long here. So when is Julian Love, O'Shane Ximines, and Corey Ballantyne going to get their chances? I mean, O'Shane Ximines does play some snaps. He probably gets like 30 snaps a game, but I see what you mean there. That defense is getting no pressure and can't cover anybody. Betcher, I believe that it is, has to start testing new schemes and formations. That 3-4 multiple shit hasn't been very effective at all. So, I mean, they're not going to change to like a 4-3 in the middle of the season, especially with a defensive coordinator that just, he does run a 3-4 defense. I don't think they'll change it in the middle of the season, obviously. But you are right about Julian Love and Corey Ballantyne. They do deserve a chance. I mean, Julian Love, the guy in front of him, Antoine Bethea, has really not done much this season at all to impress me. And I think as the season goes on and if it gets bad, I think he'll get his chance eventually, pretty soon, I would say. O'Shane, I mean, he does play a decent amount, I would say, but not a starter yet because, Lorenzo Carter is still in front of him and Marcus Golden. So one guy went down in front of him, Kareem Martin. So, I mean, if one more guy goes down, we'll see O'Shane Ximines as a starting outside linebacker for us. Corey Ballantyne, I mean, he is returning kicks right now, but he's not playing much cornerback. I have no idea why Antonio Hamilton week 1 played over him, but a lot of it was DeAndre Baker last week, and then we had Grant Haley and, of course, Janoris Jenkins. So we'll see if they can fit him in there, but I'm not sure exactly. And, I don't think they could switch to a 4-3 in the middle of the season. They're definitely going to reevaluate the defensive coordinator position after the season, maybe even during the season if things get out of hand. So we'll see. I mean, it seems like you don't like James Betcher, and, I completely get it. It makes sense to me. So we'll see. But there could be a change this offseason for sure. What does the Bucs O-line look like, and can the pass rush get there? So we'll take a look at who the Bucs have on their offensive line. I kind of got into it before, but I really wasn't naming names or anything like that. So the left tackle, Donovan Smith, has had a rough start this season. I believe, he's given up a few sacks at least. Their left guard, Ali Marpet, is really good. Always hear good things about him. Then Ryan Jensen's a good center. Their right guard, Alex Kappa's, he's all right, I guess. And then DeMar Dawson's been around for a while. He's still pretty good. So, they have some good players on this O-line, but like their left tackle seems to be weak. So you can definitely exploit that, and we'll see if they can do that. But, the Giants pass rush has a chance to get the Jameis this year. Seems like a lot of teams do. So we'll see if the Giants can be a part of that. Next question, if things go wrong, do you think they will put Eli back in the game, man? You guys do not want to let Eli go, huh? But no, I really don't think that would happen. Things would have to get really, really bad. I don't know if you mean for this game or the rest of the season. For this game, things would have to go like really, really bad. Like like Nathan Peterman bad, like 5 interceptions in 1/2 type of bad. So I don't think so. I don't see it happening. It would either be that performance or an injury. So obviously we hope everyone stays healthy, but I think it would take like a 4 or 5 interception performance to have him benched this game. Rest of the season, who knows? He could get hurt. He could have a very bad stretch over the season. So who knows? I think Daniel Jones should play the last 14 games. That's probably their plan right now. But we'll see. I don't think he'll play this game, Eli, though. I just don't see it happening unless it's absolutely atrocious of a performance by Daniel Jones. What are some key matchups for this? So, I did talk about Mike Evans before. I don't know if it's him on Jenkins or him on Baker. It depends where the Bucs want to put him. So that's obviously a key matchup because Mike Evans could definitely take advantage of a rookie in DeAndre Baker. I don't know, maybe left tackle with the Buccaneers where they struggle. Maybe Marcus Golden gets the quarterback. I think that's actually O'Shane's spot, O'Shane and Lorenzo Carter. So maybe they can take advantage of that. I'm trying to think of what else really. Saquon Barkley against the front seven of the Bucs. That's a pretty strong front seven. Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh up the middle. So that's tough to create running lanes there for the Giants offense. And maybe the Giants guards against those two guys would be a fun matchup to watch. There is some stuff to watch, really not a dominant corner against a dominant receiver type of thing. But there are some decent matchups in this game. Alright, so that'll do it because, there were a few other questions, but they were already answered, so, I'm sorry if I didn't get to your particular question. I think for now on, because that took a while for me, so I'm probably going to do like 5 or 6 questions from here on out. I'll probably do like the first 5 or 6 people that comment, I'll answer those questions. I'm sorry to do that, but it just takes too long, honestly. So if you made it to the end, I appreciate you very much. Of course, you can follow my Twitter, at Mike_NYY. If you want me to follow you back, let me know. And I think that's it. So, hopefully Daniel Jones surprises all of us and puts up some great numbers and leads the Giants to their first win of 2019. The Giants get Tampa, and then they get Washington. Maybe the Giants are 2-2 in 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't want to be too optimistic, but it is possible. So we will see. I'm very excited, though. The first time having a new quarterback. I don't really count the whole Geno Smith shit. So first time with a new quarterback since 2004, and I'm excited for it. So let's go Giants.